Hey guys, my name is Michael. This is going to be a quick tutorial on a few of the sections I built and give you a bit of an understanding to help better design. The biggest thing about bricks is the containers. If you can control the containers and understand the containers, you can pretty much create anything you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a container, and just to give you a bit of an idea, I've already preset some of the information. So I've set the condition to this individual template. Under general, I've said I want the containers to be 100%, and I've set the body text to Poppins and 300, just to give me a quick start. And Star Wars is basically, I was going to build a Star Wars theme, but I decided not to. So in this container, I'm going to set it to vertical, put it to center, and we're just going to set it at center, center, center. We're not going to worry about row gap at the moment because we don't need it for this one. We're going to come across to the style tab. We're going to click on layout, and we're going to put the height to VH. We're going to set it to 100. So it's going to fill the screen then. Actually, we're going to set this one to end. So end is going to put all the items at the bottom, and that's what I want. So I'm going to start with, I know I have an image. So it's going to drop the image in. I know the next one's going to be a nav bar. And like when I design, I just kind of like make it up as I go. I use the builder as my wireframe, and I just build it as I go. There's no special process. A lot of people use wireframes and planning. I just kind of make it up and then go back through it and redesign it, make a lot of changes, and it turns out the way I want. So I'm just going to style these up so hopefully you can follow along and I don't move too quickly. So you've got your different items here. I only want one. I'm just going to give me a second, put this onto the next screen so I can grab the information out of it. Just so we've got something to look at. So now we've got that in. I'm just going to get rid of the separator. I don't really want that. It's got the meta is this side, the title is this side. So I'm just going to quickly go into here and go, okay, I want this to be white. I'm going to probably set that to 12. Actually, no, we don't want the line height at 12. What am I doing? Text at 12, even though that's probably not the smartest, but I don't really care. So 12 font size. And then we're going to come back up to list items. It's an odd background because they do odds and evens in this, which is pretty cool. I'm going to set that to black. And I'm going to bring it down to about, probably about 85 to 90%. Now I'm going to add in some padding to it. So I'm going to keep my rule of thumb of 25 from left to right. And for this one, I'm just going to go 15 top to bottom. Yeah, so that item's done. Now we're going to put in our image. This is the big screen logo. Just going to insert that. And I'm going to change the size of that under layout. Keep it, you don't really need to set any axes. We're going to put that to about 700. Actually, let's go 800. 800 is decent. I'm going to put a bottom. Yeah, no, I'll just go with margins in this one. 150. 250, yeah, 250 is probably good. Now we're going to move on to the menu now. So back up to the menu. And I'm going to, first of all, go over to the content tab, top level items, because I'm only going to do the desktop version. I'm not going to worry about the underlying ones like mobile and whatnot. So I'm just going to style this quickly. I want that to be 14. We're going to put this to Poppins. We're going to put the font weight to 300. Actually, no, let's put it to 600. Make it a bit thick. 500 look like. Yeah, 500 is not too bad, but we want to transform that to uppercase. I might put that to 16 actually, just to make it stand out a little bit more. So there's our menu. Now you'll notice how it's got 30 here. We're going to set that to 35. And I'm going to use that 35 as a rule of thumb for vertical, and I'm going to use 25s on the horizontals. So we're going to come over to here, go over to layout, make sure you're still on the nav. And we're going to come down to positioning. We're going to set to fixed. Now we're going to put it to 25 from the top. So it's 25, and then we're going to go from the right 25. So now it's 25, 25. So it's a fixed menu, so it's going to follow the screen. Now something you can do is if you want to know how to change the hover, you just click on the nav menu. Up here you got hover styles, click on that. Then you just go back to where you started and go, okay, I want to change the typo color, and you select it as red. So when you hover over it, it will change color. Now I'm just going to select a menu too. So it's got the menu, cool. Now we're going to select the image. And we're going to put our logo in. So where is it? Where is it? There it is. Insert. Now it's the same principles here. So we're going to go over to the layout tab. I'm going to set that to probably 35. Actually, no, that's not what we're going to do. It's 150. Why is that not resizing? Okay, there we go. I'm still in the hover. Make sure you don't do that. Cancel that. So make sure you turn off hover styles. The bad habit I've got into, I'm just so used to Elementor, it's automatic. So we're going to put 150 on here. No, that's not good enough. 300. 300 looks good. You can probably bring it down a little bit more, but 300 is fine. Once again, we're just going to go to fixed. 25 from the top. This time it's 25 from the left. Now, they're not going to line up perfectly. They're going to be on the top, they are, but not on the bottom. So what I'm going to do here is I'm probably just going to punch a few more into the top. Probably bring it down to about 28. So it'll probably most likely be a bit more aligned to the center of Tokyo Ghoul. And then the last thing is the container. I'll come down to background. Now you can put a video in. I'm not too happy with the way it scales. It kind of proportions it. It's kind of annoying. So for this one, I'm not going to bother with it because it takes a bit of mucking around with the margins and all that to get it perfect, which I don't want to bother with. So I'm just going to whack in one of my big backgrounds here. And then we're going to put that to, we'll leave it as cover, no repeat, and we're going to make it center. Actually, no, we'll make it center right. Just so it pushes off. And then we'll go into gradient and overlays. We want to apply an overlay. We want to add the color now. So we'll put it as black and we'll bring it down to about, let's go 85. Yeah, 85 is good. Okay, so that's the first hero section built. Now I usually minimize it, it's ready to go. We want to add a new section, which is the container, which it put in the wrong one. So you gotta be careful not to be still inside that container. So now I'm not, I had it highlighted. If you see it highlighted like that on the side here, that means you're still on that container. So now we're onto this container here. I might get rid of this sidebar. It's really annoying me, the red. Okay, so we've got our new container. It's already preset to the length. But this time, because I usually, between like sections, I always put it between 150 to 200. It's like my rule of thumb. So for this one, I went 200 and I always go 25 on the side. That's on my original base plate. And that's, yeah, pretty much what I do on that part. Then I come over here and I know it's going to be a vertical alignment and I want them to be center on the center line axis. And I might set these after. I don't really need to do much there yet. Now we're going to put a container in. So we got our blue. And on our blue container, it's vertical. And we're going to leave it at start. It's start. Probably don't need to do any of that, but I'm going to do it. And then we're going to put this to 50 px. So it's going to be 50 between each item. We're going to come over to layout. We don't want it to be 100%. We want it to be 1200. So my page layout's going to be set to 1200. So that's just a rule of thumb that I try to stick to. Sometimes I go 1400 because I really do like 1400. But for this design, I went 1200. And now I put in anything over 1400 starts to get a little bit messy on the responsive side of things. So it's something I try to stay away from. So I'm just going to quickly copy these over. I'm not going to go into too much detail because you don't really need to know how to add text. So pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to quickly style this up, but and so it looks a bit neater. Set the EM and put that to 0.8 and it always jumps back for some reason, so it's usually just remember that. And I'm gonna probably put my font to Poppins. Set that to 300. Okay, there we go. So I've got my first part in. I'm just going to skip some of the parts because I want to show you the important parts. So next one is, I did go with another header on the actual design, but I want to show you the text box one. So basically, I put my text in, it's ready to go. I come across the styling. You know, I've already got a preset in the theme style here, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And then what I'll do is, because I'm making, actually this is all back to front in colors, so I'm going to make that black. Gonna make that black. And we're going to jump up here to the main container. We're going to go down to background. You know, you're going to set it to black, but actually it's white, sorry. And then we're going to put my image in. So I've got my image here, and for placement issues, usually what I try to do is no repeat. I was like, okay, I want it to be on the top right and I want it to contain, because I already made an image and I knew exactly what I wanted to do there. So you'll notice with the text here, it's going to overlap with that. So something I like to do is you can come into the style tab on the text. You can set the width of the actual box. So I set it to 450, but now that I've set it to 450, I'm probably going to keep the consistency of using that 450 throughout all my text boxes on the page, no matter what. It's like kind of my rule of thumb, try and keep things the same. Now you'll notice, I don't know why it does it, there's a little gap here, kind of annoying. So it's about 7px. So we're just going to marginalize that. Yep, let's have a look. Yeah, it's 7. Cool. So I'm just minus that back in, so it's all aligned. Now the next part is kind of cool. So on the original design, I put a video in, and I've got text over it, but I haven't actually done it on the actual bricks version. I completely forgot about the other box. So, I mean, I'll show you what I'm going to do. So we've got this box here, right? So now we want to set this container up. So I want it to be horizontal this time. So everything's going to flow horizontal, and we'll change these in a second. But first, we're going to get the styling done. Now I want this to be 700. See what I mean by with the mouse clicking? They really need to remove that or make it an option to disable it. It's frustrating. So I'm going to set this to 700, and I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to go, okay, I want a video and I want an image. So I've got a video and image into this box now. I want to set the video to 600. And then I'm going to go to the image because I already know what image I'm going to put in. And it's a text. So I've put my text in. I go over to style. I'm going to set this to 35. Way too big. 35. That's, yeah, you probably go a little bit lower. Now we're going to center it. And we're going to minus the margin here to 15. Yeah, 15 is good. And just to be safe, I always put the axis up. I mean the Z index, sorry. So it's just above it. And I'm just going to grab a video there. Just kind of style this up as well. So under the video here, you got your video URL. You got your overlay, which we're going to set as an image. Once you've done that, you can come down to your icon. Select play, because I just want to put a play icon in. It'll give you icon options here now. And I'm just going to set that to white, and I'm probably going to put that to about 100. Yeah, we'll probably go a little bit smaller actually. It looks a bit dopey. 90. So you could probably shrink this container more, but I just wanted to give myself a bit of room. So you've created your containers, like you can put containers inside containers. So that container's finished off. So something to be wary of. You don't want to. Okay, so here we are. There we are. So now I've got my next header in. So on the other design, I put some small text here that was creeping up, but we're not going to worry about doing that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in my text block here, just to give myself some room to work with, just to show you what I'm about to do. Now, probably just trying to think of how I want to go this, because there's a few ways you can go about it. So probably I'm going to do a little bit different to what I normally do. We're going to get rid of this margin on the bottom now. So on the big container, sorry, it's got 200. We're going to get rid of that because we're actually about to create a new container at the bottom. So we want to put in a new container. And we want to set this container because we don't want it to be inside the other container. It'll cause issues. So I'm going to make this probably 700 in width because I don't really want it to be big. I want the alignment to be the direction to be horizontal, and I want it to be in the center, and I want everything to be on the end axis. And why am I doing this? I'll show you. So I'm going to put 2 images in there. So now we've got the 2 images. Select. This is how I overlap columns and put things at the bottom. So where are we? There we are. Put this image in. Pretty sure it's a little bit too small, so I might chuck that image's size up to about 500. Now on this image here, it's going to be the two-tone text which I created in Photoshop. You can create it if you wanted to in here, but it's a lot of stuffing around, or you don't really need to. So just going to come into here now. There's 2 ways you can go about this, and I'll show you both of them. So we're just going to bring the width of this down first to 30. I think I might make these 30. Now, before, when we were creating our container up the top, we put a 35 padding between our items, and we're going to put a 35 padding here. Now, what we're going to do is, I think it's from the bottom, we put 1, or the top. Okay, cool, it's from the top. Now, you'll notice how it's pushing down because the image is kind of filling the space here. So you can either come back into here and minus the margins, so it brings it back up into place, but before I do that, what I'll do is I'll gravity. I just wanted to add a new container here, guys. Okay, I've added the new container so you can actually see this one, and I'll just quickly put some VH on this. So actually we'll just put 200, just so we got some room. 500 to be safe. So what I'll do is I might turn this to absolute. Rarely use absolute, but I don't mind it in bricks. It's quite solid. And we want to come from I think we're going to come from the left. Yep. From the left. This is the dirty way of doing it, because I'm kind of cheating. If you want to keep the consistency with the 35, so where have I got? This needs to be 35. So it's a good way to highlight and see how close you are to the image. So we're going to put this up to probably, well, that's way too much. 700. Yeah, it's about the 35 gap there. And then you just want to, there's the bottom. Nope. It's definitely the top. So you bring it down and you just muck around with this until you get the placement right. Now this is like I said, this is the dirty way of doing it, because responsiveness, it's not the best to use absolute, but Bricks is pretty good at it. Like I find it a lot easier for some reason in here than I do in Elementor to keep the padding margins. But the other way of doing it is you don't put this to absolute, you leave it as normal. We'll just go down to this image now, and I have to get rid of these because we're not using these anymore. And you go, okay, we need to minus the margins here. Put the Z index up by 1. And then we want to, where is it? Bottom. Actually, we might just put that 100. So it's 100. We're going to go, whoops. Bring that down. Now, when we move this image down more, because you can use this probably to do it here. See, yep. This is a clean way of doing it, because now you can kind of guess. So if you made this image originally, like I probably should have, you could put it at 200px to keep the consistency between it, but I was a little bit lazy. And now we've got the automatic 35. It's cleaner. It's a little bit more smarter, and like in terms of responsive. So there's not gonna be any funkiness going on. So that's basically all you need to understand, is how to utilize your containers and how to move them around, because this is containers in this is just game changing, the way you can actually utilize them and build things. Like, for example, I'm just going to put a margin on here of 500, just to show you something here. I'm going to put a container in. I'm going to set this container to 1200. So, and then I'm just going to center axis. We're going to make it a horizontal center. And we're going to jump into this container and I'm going to add 3 images. Yeah, they'll load up. First image is going to be, we're going to put this one in here. Second image is going to be the cool Asian text. This is actually, it's just used Google Translate. It's stuff to do with Tokyo Ghoul. And then the third image is going to be our funky image here. And like, as soon as you master containers and like mucking around with all the stuff, the tools that you've got here, you can really create something cool. So what we want to do is we want to turn this image to absolute. Now we're going to be able to get away with this. So we'll set it to absolute. And we want to put this to, actually we want to put a 35 padding. We'll put a 35 margin on it. 35 margin. So it's always got the 35. The image behind it, I know, is set to width of 900. So if I set it to 900, it should be going outside the container, but it's not. So we'll just come back to that. Oh, I need to set the, there. Got to set the 900 and 900. I completely forgot about that. So now they're consistent. And with this back image here, I wanted to make it a little bit lighter on the opacity when I made it, so it doesn't stand out, but it's kind of there. You can see it, but it's not real. 3. It's got my 35 that I want to keep consistency with. Click on the container here to bring it back into reality. And now with this text here, I'll probably set that to 100. 100's nice. We want to now keep it in the relative. You could use margins to pull it out, but I'm just going to cheat. So we're going to put that to 335. I hate, it's, yeah, I've got to think of numbers here. Issues, let's say. And then, yeah, so we'll bring that into about 120. Probably a little bit more because we want to have a 35. I might actually put, where the hell did it go? What did I do? What the hell? Okay, so back. Don't do that. So I was trying to cheat my way and get my 30. Okay, cool, it's there. That's what we wanted. So now I can go, okay, I need to bring this across. So it's got that 35. And this is all about consistency in your design. So look at that. I could go back to, yep, now we got 135. So it keeps the alignment. When I made these, I forgot to put the 135 in the middle. I mean, 35 in the middle. So yeah, you got your 35 here. We've got our 35 here. We've got our 35 here. It's just called, yeah, keeping the consistency is critical. And that's, I'll keep it at that. I won't go over how I designed every area because you kind of get the idea now. When you want to create special sections, just make a new container inside it, like break it up, put your container in. It doesn't matter if it's purple, blue. Like I could have went blue, and just done it in blue with containers. And then if I wanted to dive deeper inside those containers, you can use a purple one, which I should have probably done in this one. It would have been smarter because I want to put text right below this. I want to keep the consistency. So instead of doing, yeah, minus margins and whatnot. But yeah, hopefully you get the drift of what I'm actually trying to do here. And when it comes with any design, keep the consistency. I can't stress it enough with the padding and margins. Your content boxes, you want to make sure your vertical and horizontal will dictate which way the items are going to flow. Your being able to fix the width of boxes is just great. The height. So yeah, it's just learn these controls. Basically these controls here are all you're ever going to use in these ones. And then the rest is just specialty for when you go into making, I don't know, different designs. And on that note, I'll call it. Hopefully that gives you a bit of information. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good day.